my kitchen. Today, I'm cleaning old bread. We all have those pieces of bread, and when I do, I toast it. I toast it, or I make breadcrumbs, or I make bread pudding, and that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna use this old bread to make bread pudding. My mom used to make a lot of bread pudding. She used to kind of almost grind the whole bread and make into to a mold. It was beautiful. It tasted delicious. Don't have that recipe, but I've had this one for years, and that's what I'm gonna do. So in here I have 3 cups of milk, half a cup of butter. Usually it's supposed to be a cup of sugar and half of brown sugar, but I can't have sugar, so I'm using agave nectar, which is a lot healthier for me. I have about 6 cups of bread toasted, some almond extract, vanilla extract, some lemon zest, some cinnamon, and a little bit of nutmeg, 4 eggs. And you can use raisins. I'm using cranberries. I don't care very much for raisins. I prefer cranberries. They're healthier for us. And then 4 eggs. And then in here I have brandy, and then 1 can of evaporated milk. This is for the topping. We'll do a topping to one after it's baked. So in here I'm gonna crack my eggs for my chickens. Like I said, my mom used to make a lot of bread pudding, especially for special holidays. She would make it. But I remember it was more of a mold. She would make it into a mold, but she would almost like grind the whole bread, because I remember us put it on the mill to grind that bread. But nobody has a recipe, at least that I know. So I'm gonna beat these eggs, and I'm gonna add my agave nectar, and that's what you wanna do. If it was the sugar, you wanna beat your sugar with your eggs. And I love these recipes, and especially because, I'm using old bread. What am I gonna do with this old bread? I toast it, I put in Ziploc bags, and I keep it in the freezer. But sometimes you go and you have too much bread. So this is one of those cases. And then I'm gonna add my butter. It's half a cup melted butter. And I'm using butter. I don't want to use nothing, margarine or none of that. I want the full flavor. Mix all this. And I warm up the milk just because it helps to absorb into the bread versus if it's cold. And it doesn't it helps the butter stay soft. If I put cold milk, that butter would become hard, and it would be hard. I'm gonna put the lemon zest. Have a teaspoon of lemon zest, 1 lemon, 1 medium lemon. And I like the zest of the lemon. And I have my cinnamon and my nutmeg. I love this bread pudding. Okay, so now I'm gonna put my bread and let it soak in here. Just keep pressing, and I'm gonna let this soak maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. So all the bread soaks that milk and all the other ingredients. Oh, I forgot to put. I need to put about half a teaspoon of almond extract, and then 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And I use good vanilla, not the imitation vanilla, but we use what we have. So mix all this. And I'm just gonna let this sit and then I'll come back. Okay friends, it's been 10 minutes and my bread is all soaked, as you can see. Kind of mix it to make sure that there's no dry piece. If you don't have old bread, you can also substitute this for sweet bread, for croissants, any kind of other sweet bread. I mean, I'm used to doing this because that's what I have. I have a lot of old bread and I wanted to get rid of it, and so that's what I'm doing. So now I'm gonna add my cranberries. You could add nuts, you can add almonds, walnuts. Walnuts would be good here, but I'm not doing it this time. So you kind of just mix everything, and I already butter my dish, and you want to pour in a dish that is big enough. I'm going to share this with my in-laws and my family. My husband don't like this either. So now I have the oven at 350. I'm gonna put this in there for maybe about, I'd say 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, I'll insert a knife, and if the knife comes clean, it's done. If not, I'll leave it longer. That depends on everybody's ovens. So that's what I'm gonna do, put it in the oven. Now I'm gonna do the sauce put over my bread pudding. I'm gonna put 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. You know, people sometimes make different sauces. This will be an easy sauce and it tastes delicious. I want to waste none of this. This is like liquid gold. You also can use a can of sweetened condensed, the 3 leches. That's a good one too, which is evaporated milk, but it's caramelized. So I'm gonna bring this to a little, just when it start bubbling, and then I'm gonna add some brandy, but you can add rum, you can add whiskey. I like brandy better. It's not so strong than whiskey. Whiskey, I find it's too strong for me. And you just add a little bit, and if you don't care for, just leave it out. Another thing you can do, you can put in here cocoa, you know, cacao, like cocoa powder without the sugar, just the cocoa powder. And it'll make like a chocolate glaze for the top. You can also add cocoa powder inside the mixture when you do the bread. There's a variety of ways you can do stuff. I try to do different ways sometimes, because that way, sometimes my family likes one kind and say, oh, this is so good. It's the same recipe from the one I did last, but I put chocolate and all of a sudden it's good. It just never know. So I'm gonna turn the stove off, and I'm gonna add maybe about 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna eyeball it, because I don't want too strong. There's gonna be no kids eating this. It's only gonna be adults. So now I'm just gonna bring this to a simmer again, and then it's done. How easy was that? We didn't need a bunch of different ingredients, just a can of sweetened condensed milk. Another thing you can substitute for this, you can add like lemon, liqueur, orange liqueur. You don't have to use the hard liquor, brandy, or any of that stuff. You can do, you know, if you wanted to do more delicate. Anyway, and that's it. Came to a simmer. Now I'm gonna let this sit here, and then when my bread pudding is done, I'll put this over. And here it is, friends. I just took my bread pudding out of the oven, and my glaze is done. So now I'm just gonna drizzle this whole glaze over the bread pudding. And what it is, it's gonna soak into the bread pudding, and it is delicious. So just let it soak. What I do is I try to kind of go on the sides so it can soak into the bottom. And that's why I say my mom looked like more like a pudding, a mold, because she would put a glaze over. It was not this sweetened condensed milk, but it was a glaze she would make. And that would be soaking in this. And this one, I add a little bit more rum. The brandy, because it barely tasted. And I like that taste of that. Here we have it, my bread pudding with my leftover bread that I didn't know what to do. And I'm gonna cut a little piece and try this. It is so hot. I'm afraid to put my mouth into it. I'm cutting a very small little piece. I just want to try it. Oh, it smells so good. You smell that cinnamon and that little bit of nutmeg. Oh my gosh, this is so hot. It is so good. That glaze over that, it tops it off. This with a cup of coffee. And as it gets cold, I even like it cold. Just cut it a piece and just eat it. And I don't feel so bad eating this because I use that agave nectar instead of sugar. It's still sugar, but it's not as bad. And then, of course, the sweetened condensed milk has sugar. I don't think I'll get a buzz with all that brandy, but you can taste the brandy. And here it is, another recipe from my times in Azores. It's not in my mom's recipe, but it's something I remember, kind of things that she used to put it, and I created my own. I changed the little things here and there, but I've made this many times. So you give it a try, this recipe, when you have leftover bread and you don't know what to do. If it's croissants, if it's sweet bread, any kind of bread. Even if it's everyday bread. I toast mine because by toasting it, it's gonna absorb better the milk. If it's just soft, it kind of just gets too mushy. I like it more of a texture. I don't like mushy. So I toast the bread, just to toast it at 200 degrees, maybe for an hour. Just enough to just toast all of it. And then I put it in Ziploc bags and put it in a freezer. Or I make breadcrumbs. When I need breadcrumbs, that's what I use. Or to use fish flesh, that's what I use. So I saved every little piece of bread that we have that I toasted and put it in a freezer. So that's what I used here. So you give it a try to this recipe and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Share my videos with your friends on your social media. I really would appreciate it. And until next time, let's get cooking. Let's have a cup of coffee and a nice sweet dessert.